Well, the fallout has already begun from a judge's decision to disqualify Alina Habba as the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, finding that she was unlawfully appointed by Donald Trump and setting her aside with a disqualification order, and also finding that everything that she worked on is void and she cannot continue to prosecute cases or have her office prosecute cases under her name. The fallout has already begun because in the fifth largest federal prosecutor's office in the United States, federal judges are now saying, we're not going to allow sentencing of criminals to happen. We're not going to let trials happen if Alina Habba's name is on the prosecution. It's reached such a fevered pitch and such a problem that, get this, the other criminal defense lawyer for Donald Trump, named Todd Blanche, who works as the Department of Justice's number 2 lawyer, who sits in Washington, who should have bigger and better things to do, is now having to sign his name. He has to be a co-signer for Alina Habba. He has to co-sign the most petty of indictments and criminal filings for low-level crime in New Jersey, just to make sure that other federal judges don't disqualify the actions of the office because Alina Habba's name's on it. So he has to babysit Alina Habba. Doesn't he have better things to do? But obviously not. It's the same guy that just took 2 days out of his life to interview or depose Ghislaine Maxwell. But that's how far things have fallen. And what is Alina Habba's response? Going on right-wing media platforms and propaganda platforms like Sean Hannity, and on podcasts you've never heard of, like Bowling with an exclamation mark, and saying, this is a activist judge, an Obama-appointed judge. This is doing a disservice to the people of the state of New Jersey. You didn't get the job and you got disqualified. Let me just put this succinctly as succinctly as I can, because you spent your tryout period while you should have been trying to keep your mouth shut and do the right thing for the new people of New Jersey and the American people. Instead, you decided to make it a personal weaponized office for Donald Trump to go after his political enemies. You put the governor on a target list. You put the attorney general for New Jersey on a target list. You put a representative in Congress in jail and in handcuffs and prosecuted her. You put the mayor of Newark in handcuffs and prosecuted him. And that was just in the first 120 days. So no wonder the senators from New Jersey opposed your being confirmed as the permanent replacement for the U.S. attorney. You have no one to blame but yourself. But of course, when she goes on, it's always the victim. She's very good at playing the victim card. And then she gets the softball questions by people like Sean Hannity. Now that a leftist activist Obama judge has taken you out of power, what are you going to do now? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to report on it right here on the Saturday edition of Legal AF. You're here with me, Michael Popok. Let's get to it. How did we get here? Well, Friday, big news day. A whole bunch of things happened on Friday. One of them was Judge Matthew Brand, Chief Judge in the Middle District of Pennsylvania, sitting by designation as a New Jersey federal judge, because all 21 judges in the federal bench in New Jersey voted against Alina Habba getting an extension of her time after her 120-day cycle was up as the interim acting U.S. attorney. She was never going to get confirmed, so she had a hope that the judges would extend her time, which they did not, which basically disqualified them from also deciding the motion to disqualify that was filed in a criminal case involving drugs and guns. But, they were smart. They raised it. They said, why is she prosecuting us? How is she prosecuting us? How is her name on indictments and on any filings? She was improperly appointed. So the chief judge of the Third Circuit, where this got kicked to, appointed Judge Brand out in Pennsylvania to serve as a New Jersey federal judge and make his ruling. And he did. And he found that Donald Trump illegally, unlawfully appointed Alina Habba to the job and disqualified her and said, you can't do any more work there. Now, judges like Judge Esther Salas, she had a big sentencing in front of her. And in that sentencing, Matthew Schessel was supposed to be sentenced, and the judge said, well, to the Department of Justice, your leader, your acting U.S. attorney just got disqualified. How are you here? How are you authorized to be here? How am I going to sentence if the prosecutors are effectively invalid? And of course, they didn't like that. So the Department of Justice filed a letter telling the judge that even though Alina Habba was disqualified, they still get their power through the U.S. Through the Attorney General. The judge says, "Yeah, I'm not buying that." And so Salas has now postponed the sentencing. Other judges are postponing trials because of this cluster F. Now, Alina Habba goes on, of course she's going to go. She goes on all sorts of right-wing media. Let me show you the clip first from her appearance on Hannity. Let's roll the clip.
Just like, frankly, we saw with Tish James tried to use their seat for political motivation. I am the pick of the president. I am the pick of Pam Bondi, our attorney general, and I will serve this country like I have for the last several years in any capacity. You might try and change my title. You might try and fight me. But just like today with New York, we will win. We always do. It just takes time. But it's disturbing what we're seeing. It's not surprising, but it's disturbing. They think they have a voice for 5 minutes. They try and be activists. And Pam Bondi called it like it is. The attorney general said it today. We will not fall to rogue judges. We will not fall to people trying to be political when they should just be doing their job, respecting the president. And you can't get rid of the president. Almost 100 million people voted for him, and he is still and will be forever the 45th and 47th president of the United States.
So you see the whole, woe is me, I'm the victim. Look, Judge Brand put it in the right perspective. He said that under the Constitution and the statute dealing with vacancies, this is all you can do as a president. You nominate somebody. You got 120 days to get them confirmed in the Senate. If you can't get them confirmed in the Senate, then that person is done as the acting interim whatever. You have to appoint a new person. And while that new person is being appointed, if there's a gap, then the judges of that district get to appoint somebody. So you basically get one chance at an acting. Then the judges put somebody in while you get your nominee through a confirmation process. And if that person fails, that person the judges pick stays in place. That's it. You don't get to keep nominating and renominating the same person like Alina Habba and then making her a special attorney and doing a loophole and coming around the back and then making her her own deputy and then elevating the deputy after you fire the person appointed by the judges, which is what they did. It only took 16 steps to try to make Alina Habba, Donald Trump's office wife, get the job. Now, she also appeared on... she also appeared on another show, and she said the following. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna play the clip, and then I'll comment on it. Watch her now on Bowling about where, according to Ron Filipkowski, who's one of our guys here on Midas, one of the editors in chief of Midas, he had a great comment about it. But play the clip, and then we'll come back to the comment.
I'm not a political hack. I'm an attorney licensed in 4 states. I've been licensed by the Supreme Court of the United States, and I have practiced law for the better of 20 years and run law firms for most of 15 that have been extremely successful, despite what the Twitter trolls would like to say. I mean, so-called this, so-called hack, so-called name calling is kind of beneath me, to be honest. I frankly would never despise somebody I've never even spoken to, but I assume he thinks he knows who I am. I'm a really accomplished attorney. I'm very proud of the work that I've done, and quite honestly, a fierce defender of the Constitution, a patriot, and I love this country. Now, I would never hold any position. He's a politician. I am not. I'm an attorney. But at the end of the day, I am not a so-called U.S. attorney or a so-called hack or whatever he wants to call me. My name is Alina Habba. I'm an attorney, and I've been practicing for a very long time. And I am sick and tired of the name calling. I think it is exactly the toxicity that this country is done with. And
Ron said in his posting, Habba pulls off the incredible feat of telling 6 lies in one sentence. I'm not a political hack. Come on, Alina, level with the American people. You're everything you're everything a political hack was meant to be. You said out loud when you got the temporary job while you were trying out for the permanent job, you said out loud your goal was to turn New Jersey from blue to red. And then you went after the governor, the attorney general, a mayor of the major city in New Jersey, Newark, and after it's one of its congressional representatives. That is the political hack of the first order. We've seen you on television. We know what a hack looks like, and you're every bit of a hack. Don't sell yourself short. 2, name calling is beneath me. That's all she does is name call. I could just play hot take after hot take after hot take of Alina Habba calling out judges, calling out prosecutors, calling out their families, calling out Letitia James, the attorney general. I mean, how much time do you have? I'm really an accomplished attorney. Stop there. That's a lie. I mean, I'm not here to tear down a fellow bar member, but Alina Habba ran a moderately successful 3-person office with her husband. Maybe it was 4 people. It did what we call door law. Anything that came in the door, she did. One of her biggest clients owned parking lots and parking garages. That was her claim to fame. She wasn't a federal court practitioner. Nobody knew who she was. Nobody knew her nationally. No, she didn't run anything. She wasn't a former federal prosecutor, a federal law clerk. She never worked in a big law firm. None of that. What was her claim to fame? She had an office at Bedminster near the golf course. She did a beeline for Donald Trump on purpose in order to get more power and more celebrity. And she rubbed elbows with him, and she tried to get on the map by representing him in a couple of employment matters. One of which she almost got a bar complaint related to it because she convinced the victim of a sexual harassment charge at Bedminster, one of the cooks or the managers in food and beverage, that she was really her friend and she should settle cheaply. Turned out she wasn't her friend. She was representing Donald Trump. And so she got on Donald Trump's radar screen along with Summer Zervos, who used to be on The Apprentice, and she got a settlement with Summer over some other defamation case or sexual harassment case. That's where Alina Habba came from. That's the rock that moved that Alina Habba crawled out from under. That's all. And the rest of what she looks like. And she is Donald Trump's office wife. She always has been. She goes with him to all the MAGA events. She goes with him to all the wrestling events and all the mixed martial arts events. And so she's not an accomplished attorney. Give me one verdict over $1 million that you ever obtained for anybody. Let's go there. A fierce defender of the Constitution. In what way? In your parking lot cases? She got sanctioned $1 million by Judge Middlebrooks, along with Donald Trump, for bringing a meritless case several years ago on behalf of Donald Trump. She got sanctioned by Judge Engoron for discovery abuse in the case involving the civil fraud matter. The civil fraud judgment, the only part of it that got reversed was the money. The judges agreed that Donald Trump was a fraudster, along with his family, and they deserve to have a monitor over all their business affairs even to this day. So she lost that case. She was involved with the 34-count felony fraud, the felony conviction against Donald Trump. She lost that case. She lost the E. Jean Carroll case twice for Donald Trump. She's not even an accomplished lawyer for Donald Trump. She's been failing up ever since. A patriot. I'm not a so-called U.S. attorney. You're right. You're disqualified. I'm sick and tired of the name calling. Well, maybe the last part is right. Sorry, Ron. Maybe it's 5 out of 6. Yeah. So what's going to happen next? They're going to take an appeal, but it's weird here. I think the Department of Justice and the United States of America is going to have to intervene now in the case because the only parties in the case, right? Well, I guess the U.S. is already there because they're the prosecutors. All right. So the prosecutors and the defendants in the gun and drug case are now going to go up to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, maybe meeting Emil Bove, the other criminal defense lawyer for Donald Trump that's now a judge that he appointed. Because why would he disqualify himself? They don't do anything right or anything ethically. So it'll end up at the Third Circuit. And then there'll be a bunch of people filing friends of the court briefs and then up to the United States Supreme Court. In the meantime, she's sidelined. In the meantime, Todd Blanche has to have papers emailed to him from the U.S. Attorney's Office, the number 5 sized U.S. Attorney's Office in America, to sign about trespassing and jaywalking and all sorts of minor crimes and misdemeanors instead of being the number 2 for the Department of Justice. You know what? God love him. Let him do it. It'll keep his mind off of doing the other things, which is destroying America and undermining our rule of law. You're here so we can prevent that. On Legal AF, take a moment, hit that subscribe button. We're continuing to grow this channel and the viewership. Slide over to Legal AF Substack, do the exact same thing. And if you can swing a paid membership, that's how you keep the lights on for Legal AF. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.